Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. And welcome to another edition of the Token 10, my top 10 list for a particular subject matter. And I'm continuing from my previous video in talking about my 10 favorite Mega Man and Mega Man X games. Number 5, Mega Man 3. There was a lot of hype going into this game for me because, Mega Man 2 was friggin' awesome. And I found out that they were actually doing a Mega Man 3 thanks to Nintendo Power, which shout out to Mama Hawkins for, letting me or buying me a subscription. And, if that wasn't enough, later that year in 1989, there was was it 1989 or was it 1990? It's one of those two where there was actually a Nintendo convention in the Jacob Javits Center in Manhattan, which both Mama Hawkins and my uncle took me to. And then, not only that, there was a Capcom store in the South Street Seaport. And that's where that's where Mama Hawkins actually purchased Mega Man 3. And damn. Woo! You want to talk about a game that upped the ante with the franchise? This was it. Though not as memorable as, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3 really put the most changes in one game at that time. This is where you had the sliding mechanic. This is where we're introduced to Rush, Mega Man's robot dog. This was the game that had, the most change in Robot Masters, because almost all the Robot Masters are pretty much different variations of the original 6 Robot Masters, but here you had 4 Robot Masters that were variations of the original 6, but you had another 4 that were fairly unique in design and weapons, particularly Snake Man. Snake Man was awesome. The difficulty level was dropped down a little bit, but still hard enough for great replay value. And, this was also the game that made me a Capcom devotee, because I noticed that Capcom's name was on Mega Man games, but then I also noticed that it was on Final Fight, Street Fighter, and Bionic Commando. So this is a game that is really awesome and also responsible for making me a Capcom devotee. Number 4, Mega Man X. So Mega Man 4, Mega Man 5 were not the best showings of the franchise, and honestly, those two games had us thinking that maybe Mega Man's time in the sun has, set already. Oh, Mega Man X, the first Mega Man game for the Super Nintendo, really shut people up, because not only did it breathe life back into the franchise, it brought it to the future in various ways, because the game is set up after the events of the original series, giving us a new protagonist in X instead of Mega Man, which X and Mega Man are different characters, but X is also known as Mega Man X. This game also introduces the best villain in the whole franchise, in my opinion, Sigma, one of the best enforcers in Vile, but possibly the most popular character in the X series and one of the most popular characters in the whole Mega Man franchise, Zero. And, on a more personal note, this game has some sentimental value and sentimental memories, because this was the last gift that my uncle that took me to watch Godzilla 1985 in the theaters. This was the last gift that he got me before he died. So, yeah, I have, personal reasons why for loving this game, but as well, still an awesome game and in my number 4 spot. Number 3, Mega Man X2. This is a game this choice is controversial, because a lot of people have negative opinions on this game, saying that all it is just a lather, rinse, and repeat from Mega Man X. What the hell are they smoking? This was a game that gave us awesome music, a badass intro of X riding a freaking hover bike into a Reploid factory. This was a game that, introduced basically a side mission in collecting the parts of Zero, who was destroyed in the previous game, which entices X, by these nefarious group called the X Hunters, who basically are also badasses that are spread out throughout the game, and this game gives us incredible music. This is actually my favorite Mega Man soundtrack of all the games, So we have badass music, we have awesome robot masters, interesting side plot, awesome villains in this game. This game is so underrated for the whole franchise, and this is why this is my number 3 pick. And this is also the game that I played the most of all of the Mega Man X Super Nintendo games. Number 2, Mega Man 2. This game is legendary for so many reasons that people have described that I can't go into enough without visuals. And I didn't realize how popular this game was historically until I actually saw Street Fighter Assassin's Fist when Dew and Ken were so stoked to finally getting it. All I can say is that this is the very first Mega Man game that I purchased. Mama Hawkins told me stories about how she was excited to get this game for me, and that her and my other uncle went through hell trying to get this game for me. And yeah, this is considered the best Mega Man game by many people, and I can see why, but it is not the top of my list, but it definitely deserved the number 2 spot. Number 1, Mega Man X4. Transitioning from the Nintendo to the PlayStation, this is the first Mega Man X game on the PlayStation, and god damn did this game deliver. Yet had improved graphics, awesome game control. You were finally able to choose Zero and use him to beat any of the Robot Masters. You had different quests depending on if you chose Mega Man or Zero. You had an interesting conspiracy in this game. You actually got to see the future more so with the Reploids in these anime cuts. This was the game. This was the game that everyone looked to for the PlayStation when they wanted a Mega Man game. You had Mega Man Legends put on the PlayStation. You had Mega Man 8 and all, but the Mega Man game that everyone went to was Mega Man 4. This game is this is the pinnacle. This is the top. This is the cream of the crop of everything Mega Man embodied. And this is why Mega Man X4 is my favorite Mega Man game of all time. Of all time. But for the purpose of this video, of my top 10 Mega Man and Mega Man X games. Agree? Disagree? Please drop me a comment below, give me a like, follow me on Facebook at Token Dave, or on Twitter and Instagram at TokenDave80. Subscribe and ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Token Dave, dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. I'll catch all of y'all later.